She literally remembers the comment. Desktop audio. Studio mode. Oh, can I put this? Filter? No.
But
like this?
That comment
Yeah, we got it.
Made me a little concerned moving forward, because especially with new people, like, you don't know who's behind this computer screen. Like, what if one of us is Asian and you said that? You know what I mean?
Oh my god, Sassy.
Yeah, I mean,
Shut.
I get that. I don't know what to tell you. I'm a sociopath. I literally do not care for the person behind the monitor. I've told you this.
That's a concern for me.
To me, you're all data and numbers. Like, I don't know what to tell you. At the end of the day, it's a group of numbers that get together, put numbers on another, and the number dies, and then a number gets posted on the website, and an achievement scrolls across my screen.
True, actually.
I don't have like an emotional attachment to basically anybody here. I don't have like any sort of interest whatsoever in who you are behind the monitor. My only interest is in what you do during the allotted raid time. And if that's like, I get that's a problem, maybe I should just shut the fuck up and play. And that's probably the real answer. So if you want me to stay and expect me to shut the fuck up and play, I can.
You see that? You see how they just
I don't think that's something
stop?
that anyone wants. So.
Okay, so what? Tell me in plain English what you want from me moving forward if I were to stay.
Silence.
I think
Huh?
no racist or derogatory remarks, and I think
No
if you have an
racism.
issue, it needs to be handled without emotion.
Huh? He's not emotional.
Handle
Yeah,
it
that's fine.
constructively. Just, say, like, this is a problem, here's why it's a problem. Leave emotions out of it, leave the I wish you were kicked from the group out of it, all of that, and just, state the issue and we'll address it. Because I do think we addressed it. Like, you had an issue, we talked it out. It was tense, but we got, like, through it. I think that part was fine. It was just the way you carried yourself was an issue.
And I think a lot of that, as I said before, was very likely to just the pent-up annoyance. Honestly,
right, that's
if
fair.
that hadn't happened that day, someone else would have snapped just as bad the next day.
I can go up. Yeah. I hate her voice though. So.
Also,
like,
regarding the comment, like my expectations versus your guys' expectations and what's possible during. I've already accepted that, and me and Ramsey even talked about week 1 expectations. I told him what I expect and what I'm willing to expect again after revision of our. And he is already well aware that I was willing to acquiesce on that front and come to terms with what I really need to like sit down and actually understand is happening with the group. That's
Great lead,
fine.
by the way.
We already talked about that. Like,
Cool. Perfect. We did not know that.
How?
That's my big thing, is that, like, I want to make I don't want you to be disappointed by the pace that we move at.
I also honestly don't think that even if you don't get vacation for week 1, it shouldn't be an issue thing week 1.
I just think that the
Because-
synergy we've even gotten moving forward is a much bigger factor than people realize.
And
I agree.
The way the schedule is probably going to work out, like, I got one day to split on that week. It's me that's creating the hours issues, but the way it'll work out is I work from home Wednesdays,
don't
so we can start
care.
early in the
I
afternoon, and then I have one
seriously
vacation day, and I'm
don't.
going to probably split it between 2 days,
Oh
so
my
I can get home
god.
early
Save
on those 2
me.
days and right in the So Tuesday we might not go early, but Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday we can start in the early afternoon, and then we'll have the whole weekend. So
That's even more days than what me and Ramsey spoke about, so I'm completely fine with.
I don't think if we have issues clearing week 1, it'll probably be from exhaustion from going from work right to raid to work to raid. But like, I don't think. I think when I say I'm worried about your expectations not matching ours, I'm more worried about your expectation of our disposition and attitude not matching yours, not so much our clear rate. If that makes sense.
I'm much more concerned about being in a group that I know that can clear, and I know this group can clear, so I really don't have an issue on that front anymore.
Okay.
Cool.
It's as long as like I don't know. I'll work on keeping my anger and
Drinking.
I won't let shit build up, I guess. I mean, it never should have in the first place, which is why I said what I said earlier today about we should just keep shit in static chat instead of trying to DM people.
Yeah.
No, I
I-
agree on that. We
Yeah.
should
don't-
just.
I don't think the curtains are necessary, and I think everyone can see today why I.
There's a fucking movie playing downstairs if you can't hear.
No, I agree. Like, things should just be said out into the public to your face.
Thank
And that's also
you.
why it was. Yeah, basically.
So where else are we?
So I guess that's pretty much the case closed now.
For me, I guess. So my other part is Lewds for sure kicked? Is that because he's here? He can speak.
That's right.
I'm not just bringing it up because I'm his friend. I'm pretty sure everyone here can tell that I formed a pretty good bond with Lewds.
Yes, we were. one
But
of the
just
things
know
we
that I
were-
would bring this up for anybody's case because I value the health of the team and the ability
Yes.
to push forward more as a group than I do any. If
But,
I
I
felt
mean-
that Ramza was underperforming and I brought that forward, like I would bring that forward pretty fucking fast. I have brought up several times that maybe I don't understand how healing works entirely in Final Fantasy, and
That's a lie.
like me and Levy and Sassy had like our little fucking duke it out moment there a couple
Yeah.
weeks ago, and that's fine. I think that's fine, but it is fine because it happened where it did, and not behind closed doors. So I'd like to take this time to allow you guys to speak to Lewds, and for Lewds to speak to you guys, and give each other an actual fair chance to see what the fuck is going on.
The first thing I'm gonna come out and say is, regardless of what happened, you do not ever deliberately sandbag a pull that hard. That's one of the most disrespectful things you can do in this game, just outright. It should never happen under any circumstances.
I'm pretty sure you could fucking actually call someone like the N-word. Alright, I understand that.
Now, to just some other things. Seems like there is a combined misconception on both sides of how the other party feels about things, because I know Levy has had a lot of experience with people who have made really rash judgments about her play style
Literally.
and have blamed her for being greedy when either A, they didn't know how healing works, B, they were flat out bad, or C, they were just honestly a really terrible scholar who hated that they had to use their ether flow to heal.
Actually, I think that one was because I was a girl.
Oh, fair.
But to the point, like, when I fuck up, it's never greed. I just fuck up a lot. And I told this, I think it was Debantia or one of the people we were talking to recently, was just that, like, when it comes to doing a fight, like, most people, they'll do something 20 times, and in 20 times, they'll fuck it up once.
Yeah, I did.
I think 20 times, and I'll fuck it up 3 times. Like, I just have a rate of fucking up more often, and I'm working on it. Like, it's my own
She's
issue
trying to
that
be
I'm
the
trying to
victim
get
right
better at.
now.
I think part of it's spurred by health issues that I won't get into, but my point being that, like,
She's trying to be the
I have a
victim.
high rate of fucking up, and I know it.
Uh-huh.
But it's never coming from greedy DPS, and you're not seeing high DPS numbers from me because I'm greeting. I just know how to roll my GCD well, and I know my class well. But it's not like I have never like said, "Oh, Miss Peace is out here. It's okay. Somebody might die." Like, that's not how
my God,
that
man.
works.
Okay, let me bring up my point. So take Throttle, for instance.
Okay.
If Neela is assigned to 2 throttles and Sassy is assigned to 3 throttles, why is it when we are rating that I would see one Asuna cast into a Glare cast into an Asuna cast compared to
Because
Asuna cast into an Asuna cast into a Glare cast?
why it would change sometimes, because my GC's got variance due to palm and dot alignment has variance due to palm, and I make sure I time the cure 3 properly so my GC moves by, less than half a second. So I will space them accordingly to make sure that I can get the Osuna out in such a way that I can get the plenarily out so that I can get the Rapture off to heal time properly for dodging Protean. So yeah, I flip the order sometimes. But it's also a net of 0 change. Like sometimes I'm concerned about like who has Thrall, because it's variable. Sometimes it's on me, but if it's not on me, then it's on Kyle, Vire, Kiri, or you, and I need to figure out, if it's not on me, and if it's not on Kyle, then when Vire does it, if it's not on Vire, he's not cleansing himself.
Jesus
He's going to cleanse
Christ.
Kiri. So I need to make sure that if I have to cleanse myself, the next person on my list, if it's not Kyle, is Kiri. But if Kiri's getting cleansed by Vire, then I have to cleanse you. But I usually give it a minute to make sure that I understand that process has happened, to make sure I don't assume the wrong target. But it does fuck up sometimes.
Okay, I think that explanation right there is kind of like one of the reasons I have an issue with like the play style that you present to the group. And it's again probably one of the most unorthodox like main battery healing styles that a white mage is. Now, I understand that you have some sort of like merit as a mentor or balance mentor.
That has nothing to do with this.
Some people apparently look up to you for advice, and this is like the same thing that you give them advice for when it comes to healing, right? But the point still being, you're from what I'm trying to assume from the words rolling over, and like I guess you like use your downtime between GCDs to count an off GCD. Is that rolling over?
Yeah, it's the downtime. Like if I do Asuna Glare Asuna, it's because I want to make sure I have the correct target for throttle. Like, and because it can vary depending on who has it and who Vire is cleansing, I make sure that like I don't accidentally cleanse Kiri when I actually need to cleanse you because Vire didn't have it.
And this all happens in the span of 12 seconds.
No, it's the span of
9
3
seconds.
seconds. No, 3 seconds, because I have to. I do one, and then I have to figure out who the next one is. And then I'm trying to figure out who the second one is after I've done the first one. But it's basically like throttle goes out, and I have 3 seconds to figure out who my Asuna targets are. But if I do one, space it, and then do another one, then I have a little bit more time to make sure I've got the right target.
So let me get this correct,
Oh.
just so I can understand it.
Yeah, I need
The
that.
reason for the glare is so that you can
See who the fuck to Asuna?
when you're trying to figure out who to Asuna.
Right. So the whole
Is that
thing.
what I'm understanding?
Yeah, the whole thing resolves
Oh
over
my
a span of 3
goddamn.
GCDs, right? And I want the last GCD I use to be in Asuna if I need it to be, because of when plenarily comes up, and I want to be able to get that plenarily out right before we all spread for the Rapture. But like,
It covers multiple fronts of gives her more time to figure out what she's doing while also not just sitting on her hands and also
but like
feeding into AoE healing.
the thing here is like I'm only doing 2 Asunas. No matter what, the mechanic has 3 GCDs covered in. That's why Sassy does 3 and I only do 2, which means I have an empty GCD there that I should be doing something with. So whether I do Asuna Glare Asuna or Glare Asuna Asuna is relatively irrelevant. The only part that's important in those last 2 GCDs is that I end on an Asuna. And then I don't want to just not cast for a GCD because that doesn't make sense.
Yeah, so okay. So
Can I just step in for a second? Can I just say something?
Yeah, go ahead, man. I'm fucking
So,
hitting my head against the desk right now, man. I don't fucking get
my
it.
personal
I don't
view
fucking
on
get it.
You say that the Glare Asuna Asuna or Asuna Glare Asuna or whatever the fucking combination wants to be doesn't matter.
Why can't it be Asuna
What
Asuna?
happens if I drop my Wanderer's Pay in and you don't get it Asuna or you don't get it Asuna from me? Suddenly you don't have that freedom to work with, and then we get in a situation where you don't have that free time that you
Yeah,
have now.
you can be a healer.
Right,
No.
and I've done 3 Asuna pulls before.
Oh, so then we've solved the problem.
Okay, so the argument is you're trading 1 GCD for sometimes possibly letting Lewds die.
True.
I mean, no.
That's what it's boiling down to.
No,
from Lewds'
it's
front.
not. It would be you missing
No,
your OGCD to him dying. Because that's what you're saying here. You're saying in this niche situation where you miss the cleanse and I have to do 3 Asunas, but I'm not because I only ever do 2, he might die. That's what you're saying.
I've missed 2 cleanses over the course of Prague, but what I'm saying
Exactly,
is,
which is why I don't expect you to ever miss one.
right. But what I'm saying is, if I went Dancer, we have a new problem.
No, we don't.
No,
if
that
you
she
win
would
Dancer,
just not glare, and
it's still
she
3
would also cast
GCDs.
3 Asunas,
It's
right?
still 3 GCDs, so it would just be
Right.
1 more Asuna.
Right. So what Lewds is saying, why not treat it like you don't have the Asuna anyway, and just
Why
do
would
the
I
Asuna?
do that?
Because you're trying to optimize 1 GCD at the risk of possibly killing the group.
I mean, it's not a risk of possible.
On a phase where DPS isn't an issue, first of all.
Who would I cast that Asuna on? Because the issue where he died wasn't from a glare. It was because I had the wrong target. So who would I cast that 3rd Asuna on if I, was gonna throw out a 3rd one when everybody was cleansed?
So again, what I'm saying is,
I have to pick up
instead of
pizza.
doing a
I have to
glare
pick
at all,
up pizza.
we would much prefer if you just did the 2 as soon as you needed,
Danny, can you pick up
and
pizza?
just not worry about the glare. I would gladly give up 1, knowing that Lewds never had to die ever again in that phase, or whoever the other dispel needs to be.
Via, the point is the glare is irrelevant. Whether I do a glare or if I don't cast a glare, I'm still only doing 2 Asunas. Like, it doesn't matter. I could have not
But there's
cast for
3
5
GCDs.
seconds. I could have not casted anything for 3 GCDs before and 3 GCDs after. He still would have died that run because I had the wrong target. Like, nothing about that glare changes him dying to a mistake.
You're focusing on the 1 pull though.
I'm
This has
not.
been-
When he's died before, it's from the same thing. Either I had the wrong target, or I missed, it's always the wrong target. It's either I had the wrong target, which this one was complete fuck up because I just said you targeted, or I interpreted the targets incorrectly because of pay-on memes. But either way, it's the wrong target. Like, that's all it was. Like, when he dies, it's from the wrong target. It's never from the glare cast.
Okay, but why would we want to risk the variance in the first place? Like,
What variance?
so you have to take the time to see which target is left with the throttle, and then it's a timer of 1 to 2 seconds to see if you get the cast off. And if you have the wrong target, then the other person's dead either way.
There's 5 targets I might have to cover on. I can't assume everybody.
That's why you have Sassy covering 3 Asunas.
No. There's 5 people on my list that it might have to come from. There's myself, Kyle. Well, I guess Fire's not technically, but for some reason he fucked up. There would be. I check is my point. Then Kiri, then you. There's 5 people that I need to look at. I can't assume everybody. I can't assume 4 people either. So I only get 3, and it's only going to come off of 2 people. It doesn't work that way.
But I was under the assumption.
Hold on a second. Why are we nitpicking a throttle incident that has happened? Yeah, it's happened a handful of times, but it has not been like every raid night. Why are we nitpicking this situation and not talking about the larger issues here?
Because this is one of the larger issues.
Why are you making a large issue over dying over 1 instance? Why aren't we talking about the fact that you've never used Bloodbath, you hardly use Second Wind, you don't
hasn't
listen
been
to raid
one
callouts?
instance. It's been multiple instances.
I didn't say
And
it
a
was
lot
one
of
instance, it's been a handful.
The amount of times you could have saved your life via Second Wind or Bloodbath is far more than the amount of times you have died.
I have saved my life plenty of times with just Second
You
Wind.
really haven't. You have about
Yes, I have.
You have about a half of Kiri's cast from Second Wind and about a third of Fire's. And you have no Bloodbath uses. Ever.
Am I gonna start getting penalized for not running Riddle of Earth or Fist of Earth as well? Like,
You're
it's
getting
crazy.
penalized for not using free. No, it's not. You're getting penalized for not using free healing that you're letting off on the table, and then you're pissed that the other healers aren't healing. But we are.
The potency of Second Wind, right? I want you to keep
It's
that in
enough to
mind.
save you at the times that you've died. It is.
It's comparable to a Cure 3?
You mean when you moved in late?
No, I'm talking about just potency to potency. It's comparable to a Cure 3.
It's still free healing.
It's
I
free
understand
healing.
that it's free healing.
So why wouldn't you use it?
So, okay. Let's take, for instance, the moment where we stack up after doing limit cut. All right, before our 3 separate pile stacks, and people don't get healed there, where's Bloodbath gonna go?
Do you know why people don't get healed there? Because we're moving and we can't cast.
Oh,
That is
is that
why
true, or are you saving what is it called?
she doesn't have Swift.
Where's it go?
I don't use it. I save it in case somebody dies to being stupid.
So instead of
if I
keeping
had it
the
at the end
group
of-
up, you would save it to bring somebody up?
That's why I was saving it there originally, and I used to switch. So you're not. So the part that you're talking about, I plenarily rapture to move out. When I move out and I'm moving, everybody's too far for me to swift. So I'm already doing the heal and everybody's in range, and then the next GCD, nobody's in range for me to swift to heal. Or two or 3 people are, but you on the opposite side of the arena are not in range. So that's why I don't swift there. So yes, I save it in case somebody dies to limit cut memery.
I'm talking
But
about the
switching
stack before the 2, 3 stacks of enumeration. Everyone literally stacks in the middle.
You get a. Oh, I thought you were talking about the end of limit cut. I swift there. Right before
But
enumeration,
people
I ran
still
out and I
die.
swift. Yeah, I swift because you were out of range. You were too slow moving in.
I didn't even say myself. I said other people die.
I don't know what you want me to do. I ran in and I swift to cure 3. Like I ran and
Cure
swift
3
to
has
cure
a
3.
6 yalm range. Like, it's her strongest heal, but it's 6 yalms. Like,
I
if you're
run
not
in
close enough,
swift cure 3 rapture. Like that's what I can do there. That's how much time I've got, and that's what I do. So I don't understand what you mean. Like I'm swifting there.
Like, there's a reason why me and Aloe sat down and we specifically have people call out, or at least, the 2 healers will call out if they're 7 or 8.
No,
Because-
we're talking about enumeration now.
Okay. That's
In Prime, not for Justice.
okay. Yeah.
incinerating
And,
heat
and
after.
also the same thing. We specifically talk through, hey, who can we throw mitigation on? Who will be low for this? Because it has saved lives several times.
On first limit cut, yes, but not limit cut and then stack and enumeration. There's been so many times where we've had people just straight up die from the stack damage.
From the incendiary heat, it does save lives. Like, whoever the 8th person is, I go,
If somebody dies from that, it's because they missed the heal range or they missed the mitigation. Like I don't like there's literally nothing more we can throw there. So I don't know what your concern or what your expectation
It's
is.
still their fault.
like,
It's still the other person's
specifically
fault.
prep a giant spread low beforehand in order to
There's a
help
spread. So
beforehand.
just to be clear on all of the healing that goes through wormhole and is happening while we're coming back in. As wormhole is like after Alex goes untargetable, before we all get our numbers
This
and
is such
spread
a
out,
fucking stupid
I
moot
do
point.
a mini thrill buffed rest it, so it's a crit add low deploy. I also throw out Whispering Dawn. Correct me if I'm wrong, Levy, but I believe you do a Medica too.
I do a Medica too.
So you have 2 sets of regions and a very strong shield running as we all spread for our limit cut numbers to try to keep people as healthy as possible while we can't reach them. And then after limit cut resolves, I drop a soil into the middle of the arena to try to mitigate damage. I cast Seraph to
Fucking
get
save
a
me,
shield
man.
from the
It's so
fairy,
boring.
and I swift cast a sucker as I'm running in.
and I swift
Levy
cast-
does a swift cast cure 3 and a rapture, which is also a heal.
and those are
there's-
both GCDs. I don't have an OGCD there to use.
There's literally nothing more that we can do.
So just so I'm caught up on the conversation and not like fucking going crazy. We're talking about after wormhole going into the 2 stack. Like
Correct.
stacking onto.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So why did Kyle die last night then?
He was-
Kyle was not late. He was in the pile first, actually.
When did Kyle die?
Oh my god,
Kyle-
we have amnesia
Kyle-
suddenly. Wow.
He was not late. He was in the middle of this. He was
No,
on
he
the
was-
stack point
he
before
was-
everyone else.
He was number
said
8.
he was number 8.
Yeah, I know. I know he was number 8. Even though he was number 8, he was in the middle first, and he still died.
Yeah, he sprinted in the middle and still died. That's one of the things where I don't get why we're still taking so much damage. Even with the things that are going on, I don't get why we're taking so much damage from that stack. Like, I know it does a lot anyway, but I'm like looking at the buffs and I'm just like, our groups do something very similar, but they don't
Come out
live
at
with
different health.
having to rely on like praying that the server tick happen.
I think other groups we don't put any like party mitigation there because we save it all for J-Waves. We probably could move something
So
there.
do
Other
they.
groups put one of the tank mitts out normally because it covers
Okay.
that and the first Mega Holy. So like they
Well, then it'd have to be a
use-
Dark Knight one or something because
Yeah,
the Shake isn't
missionary.
gonna
Yeah, it's
help.
Dark Missionary.
Yeah, because Shake will propagate late and be shitty. That's why.
Yeah,
That's
it's
what
only
will
Dark
happen.
Missionary I see on it.
Mhm.
When is he Dark Missionarying during the 2 robot run rate?
I
think he's doing it for the Mega Holies, isn't he?
no, he's
If
using
he was,
it.
then I wouldn't have died.
Let me check when he is doing it.
Oh, wait, are you talking about the Mega Holies or are you talking about the incinerating heat?
J waves.
No,
We're up to
I'm asking
J-Wave.
Bayer.
So he died on the incinerating heat.
Kiri
So the
died
very
on
first stack
J-Waves.
before enumerations.
He's
That's the
using
only
it,
one
like,
stack.
as we come over.
Here, this is
the only
her
reason I bring
combo,
this
right?
up, I
She
don't know
clips
why
it.
how we got to this
and-
this point in the fight, but
We
saying something about healing mitigation and something, or I don't know what. Sorry, say
we seriously got off the point because she was claiming that without my use of Bloodbath, I'm not being more effective healing wise for my self healing.
I'm saying your mentality is backwards.
My mentality is backwards for hoping that my healer would heal me when I require HP, compared to healing myself with Bloodbath and Second Wind alone.
See, that's fundamentally flawed. You have healing tools and I have healing tools. We
Oh!
need to both use them.
But one is inherently stronger than the other.
They both need to get used.
Okay, so let me just filter this correctly. If I use Bloodbath and Second Wind all the time off cooldown, you will never have a problem with it.
I'm not saying I never make mistakes. And the fact that you assume that I'm never going to make mistakes is weird.
That
to me.
wasn't the point I even brought up. You
just said if you use these things, you'll never have an issue. I'm going to have fuck-ups sometimes.
Not
so...
you, as in your playstyle. You, the person having an issue with me not using Bloodbath. And surviving off of that alone. Because you brought it up as a main point of contention.
It's more of a thing like it's a free healing resource that you can use when there are many places in part 1 and part 2 that have a lot of outgoing damage and you're just not using it.
I can also technically Riddle of Earth every time there's an AoE that goes out to mitigate more
but
damage.
Second Wind and Bloodbath cost you nothing. We're asking you
So
something
does
that's
Stance
free.
Dancing.
No, that costs you like
A
Grease
GCD
Lightning.
to go back in.
This isn't, but Second Wind and Bloodbath aren't a GCD. They're an OGCD that you can use for free.
Oh, that's sort of the point, right? You're trying to make a huge deal out of Bloodbath alone when
I'm not
super
trying to make a huge
optimization
deal
for
out of
mitigation is not the actual problem.
I am not trying to make a huge deal. I'm trying to point out to a mentality issue because these small, tiny occurrences, okay, it's just this here, it's just this here, it's just this here. Okay, well, now they add up, and now there's 20 small little inconsequential issues. So maybe on their own, yeah, each one doesn't count. But when there's 20 of them, now suddenly it matters. And that's the point. That's the approach you take.
What occurrence of me not using Bloodbath has thrown you off that badly?
You know how many times during Living Liquid Prog you died and Kiri didn't because Kiri second winded and you didn't?
Kiri's died more times than I have in Living Liquid Prog because he did not get healed before the torrent at the puddle. Yeah, I actually have Riddle of Earth there to mitigate a lot of damage that Kiri would usually, that probably would have killed me as well. That's not even like close to a point. I died way less than Kiri in Living Liquid Prog.
Because of the time you guys take your baits.
What?
There's also the fact that you're right next to me, and so you're getting heals that I'm casting that Kieri is not.
I'm next to you?
You're in her
Pretty
range,
much.
but you're not, and you're
Yeah.
opposite from me.
Right.
Kiri's
You-
opposite of you.
I don't get any healing during there.
Right, because
I kind of gave up. Like, I know it's far away, and I kind of just gave up praying that I was going to get healed. No offense, Levy. Like, I know that you sometimes will throw out heal if I'm low, but like sometimes what you think is low for me there would kill me. That's why I had to like bloodbath and second wind and life surge to make sure I can heal like myself 50k, like within like a few seconds.
That's why I started second winding at the point that I do when I'm picking up my. If I don't second wind there, I'm dead every pull.
well, that's my point. Is that it's okay? Second wind's a free heal. Let's plan to use
No,
it there because
no.
we can't reach you.
That is
We cannot
also
reach-
my point. Because I'm privileged to be next to Sassy, who is casting curing spells, I get to live without having to use second wind there. That's literally the occurrence.
I'm not sure what your problem with is for wanting to use second wind.
I don't have a problem using second wind. I
Then why
use it
don't
all
you?
the time.
You don't. You really don't.
It's really like a push of the blame game, really, at this point.
I don't think
If
it is.
second wind
I'm
is-
trying to.
Excuse me. If second wind is the difference between you living and dying at max or just slightly off max health because you weren't topped off with anything else, it's the DPS's fault. Is what you're saying.
The point I'm trying to make isn't all of these little tiny occurrences. It's the mentality they add up to overall.
I'm gonna
And that's, you keep taking everything I'm saying and dialing it down to specific one-off instances. That's not the point. The point is the mentality issues and how you think healing is supposed to work and how you will nitpick over these scenarios about what you think is supposed to happen here when it doesn't make any sense and it's not practical and it's not how it works at all.
So why do we have two different mentalities of healing currently?
Are you gonna say something, Blake?
I'm still wondering, like, in all the times when we were in part 2 and shit was spicy because our cooldowns were trash and you would literally just die to damage and you just sit on bloodbath. I don't get that. Like, I fundamentally don't get why, if you have a button you know that can help you live when shit is
Especially
awry, when
during
things are getting figured
prog.
out, like, why don't you hit it? That's the part I don't get.
Okay.
You have a free resource that even if it's not needed, if shit could go awry while things are getting figured out, why not hit it?
Okay, I understand.
Okay,
I
but the
truly-
same logic can be applied during prog because why don't you just heal slide entirely during prog?
We did.
And never cast a single.
If that was the case,
We did
then
heal slut, and we did do 0 DPS runs, but people aren't always in range because of how we have to move.
okay, I understand. True. I should have utilized all of my class actions in order to try and keep myself alive during prog. Yes. I will accept that wholeheartedly. Right? Because I never touch bloodbath. However, as a monk with some of the lowest potency outputs per GCD, right? Because we're all about consistent damage and not spike damage, in which bloodbath heals you for what, 15%?
25.
25% of your damage?
Mhm.
I don't really think bloodbath is going to make up a huge amount of spike healing that I would need in any situation.
How much does your regular boot shine do? Crit.
20k.
So
If it's
there's
crit
never-
direct hit.
Okay, so there's never been a time where 4k health would have saved your life from one GCD. You know, bloodbath is like what, 15
5K.
seconds? 15 seconds?
Okay.
7
4k.
GCD?
5 GCDs if you optimize it, it's 5 GCDs per user.
Well, he's got a really fast
Yeah,
GCD.
if you push the bloodbath on the second half of the OGCD as it's rolled, you can get an extra hit out of it. Yes.
So
Okay.
that's over 20k health.
That's also true, right? But we're talking in the case of second phase with Brute and Cruz, where all DPS are the most mobile in the entire setting of the phase. Right? I'm moving from one stack pile to the other to the other to do all all the mechanics, transferring buffs, swapping off. Even optimal facing for bosses on Monk is terrible because we just have both bosses separated and melee have to literally just peel off and go to different places all the time to do the
100%.
mechanics.
Our part 2 movement and boss placement is really trash.
Our part 2 is exactly why me and Kiri and Lewds will never see above a blue on the.
Yeah, fully aware, complete garbage.
But it gets the boss killed. That's just all I care about.
Yeah, it wasn't worth changing once we had progged past it.
I completely understand that.
Before this conversation continues any further, what is the deal with Lude staying or leaving the group? Because I think we're at a point now where maybe we should. I don't know. Not everyone's here, so maybe I can't say. I don't know. I feel like that this was a learning experience discussion at the very least. And then maybe we should come out the other side of it as better people instead of wasting potentially good group synergy. You know what I mean?
Fucking dumb.
I just personally, moving forward, don't want the passive aggressive comments and random Discord name changes.
I'm not
think we're all
okay
adults.
Was somebody who thinks the appropriate course of action was to waste 16 minutes of 7 other people's time. I don't know that we can get past that.
He's already said that he understood and accepted. He maybe did the wrong thing there.
I want to play with players who have a similar mentality to the rest of the group, and somebody who, at any point in their life, think that that's an okay action. I don't know that I want that in this group.
No, absolutely not. That's not something I'm okay with.
At some point, you thought this was an okay course of action, even if you know afterwards that it wasn't. At some point, you said, I'm going to do this, and then you did it. And I don't know that I am ever going to say, let me trust him again.
And then you kept doing it the rest of the poll. You kept it, even if you had sandbagged until we got to perfect, we probably wouldn't have cared. But you still sandbagged in perfect. You made that conscious decision throughout the entirety of the rest of the fight. And I'm not okay with that.
So, okay, I get it. It's fair that your trust is broken with Ludes over that situation. And even I'm in the camp that maybe sandbagging wasn't a good idea. In fact, objectively, it was a bad idea. I can even say that as well. But we're not. I don't think we should be above second chances.
The problem is
we can give. Okay, I know.
This came at the end of a long period of repeated passive-aggressive issues with the raid, issues with us changing mechanics in voice, making sure everybody else is okay with it, only to find out that he wasn't listening and we had to re-explain everything later. This has happened multiple times. Repeated attitude issues where he'll immediately blame the healer when the thing that was missed was a reprisal. It's come at the end of
I actually want to bring
things.
that up too.
Let me finish speaking, please. It's come at the end of a lot of different stacked issues over and over and over again, and I don't know that even if we try and put a band-aid on it, it's worth it. I would rather go our separate ways. I think it's better for everybody.
So, okay, I'll let Luke talk first because he wanted to talk. Sorry.
Okay, so you actually bring up an interesting point that you dug up through history a 2S attempt that was a reprisal issue.
I didn't dig that up. I remember it specifically.
Okay.
And I'm not the only one.
She is not.
That would be you as the other one, Sassy, correct?
Yes.
But I believe Rams also remembers it.
Uh-huh.
And Aloe probably does.
So I want to sort of think through it again. A mistimed reprisal in which
In an optimization run, in which everything is planned down to the GCD and the OGCD.
which means functionally you cannot deviate from your path of DPSing as a white mage.
It's an optimization run, so the point, no. It would be
So
stick to the plan.
correct. You that same mentality from you has been brought all the way through Prague.
No, it hasn't.
I
And that's
fully
when you're
believe
wrong.
it has.
Well, your belief is incorrect. Like, I don't know what else to tell you, my man, but it's completely wrong. Like, I GCD slept through Prague all the time.
If you look at the like amount of GCD heals used from Living Liquid and Cruise from, you know, the first like 30, 40 pulls versus what we have now, it's a dramatic difference. And
Yeah.
and that's actually why, you know, oh wow, they're dying really fucking fast. It's like, oh yeah, it's because, you know, we actually figured out how well to mitigate and heal this stuff.
I mean, that's perfectly fine and great, right? Yet we still have people die in our runs. We still have raid days where we can't even clear the fight. And sure, you're gonna probably deflect to, oh, you can't say it's only a healing issue, but
Oh no, everyone was rusty yesterday. Like that
I
was
sincerely, I don't
Just
say that
disagree.
everyone was actually rusty. I'd say a
There,
select.
there were
I
certain
was-
people that were rusty, but it was certainly not the entire group.
Okay.
I play every day for a reason.
I was really fucking rusty. I know of at least 3 pulls where I was the reason we wiped fairly far in.
The point is that yesterday can't be blamed on one single person.
Sure, someone else could have potentially messed up mechanic. I'm not trying to blame it solely on one person. But I am saying the performance mentality of DPS over healing on White Mage
That's
is one of the
not the
things that
mentality.
stigmatized and caused our prog to extend so long.
That's incorrect. That's 100% incorrect.
Okay, that's just it.
Speaking as the person who heals with her, I also think that that's incorrect.
As you, the person who offloads all of the extra healing, yes. Could you be
It's a
doing more
partnership.
DPS, Sassy?
Her DPS performance is not because of my healing or lack of healing.
Oh!
Full stop.
Correct. That is my own issues with my positioning and my movement and my weaving and my rolling my GCD that I am still working on.
It has nothing to do with her doing any extra heals that I'm not also doing extra heals for.
There's also part 1 and part 2 they could be optimized a lot better.
I
But-
think what he's trying to say
I'm fucking
is
deaf.
that, yes, the missed reprisal, but it shouldn't. I know when we optimize it to a degree. I think he's mentioning just more going like, you can optimize it to a degree, but if you optimize it too much in that sense, like if one thing's missing, you just wipe and die because there's no other.
That's how
course
we
of action.
optimize an optimization run. That is absolutely not remotely how we ever would approach Prague or T. Full stop.
But it is!
And that's why I wanted to make the distinction is that it's an optimization run because we were doing that one down to the GCD. We absolutely do not do that even for reclears. Like no way. That is not
There's-
how it's approached.
There's a lot of safety, cure 2, add low.
I get some like
Wow.
90% overheal med 2s going out because you know what? That 10% might save somebody.
There are a lot of heals that Levy and I have both discussed of like, well, I could maybe cut this out, but it's not worth risking.
And like you keep bringing up this mentality sticking point, and I keep telling you that's not how it is. But you won't budge on that point, and I don't get why because that's not how I
Because you've
feel.
performed like this for like over 5 months. I've seen it firsthand.
But what you see, like we have examples of what you think you've seen that were completely wrong.
Like what?
Like when you thought you fucking died because I was casting a glare, no, I had the wrong target. Or when you think that was a heal miss, no, we
Okay,
missed a mitigation.
So, regardless of if you missed the wrong target, did you perform 2 Asunas correctly?
I full
She
cast
did.
two Asunas, one on myself and one on Vire.
And Throttle executed somebody. Thus, the mechanic was not
Because
performed correctly.
she cast the Asuna, it just happened to be on the wrong target. There's nothing that you can do about picking
The
the wrong
perception
target.
that it was related to greed is completely incorrect, and that's the
You
point.
told us that you cast a glare and do an off GCD to take the time to view who is the one.
The OGCD is after the last Asuna.
It doesn't matter. It's 3 GCDs. I just space where the glare is, but like it's 3 GCDs no matter what I do. We're circling again, and I don't get the point. I'm gonna go back to my point. I don't think that I will ever be okay with somebody with a mentality who sandbags 16 minutes of selling on people's time. And if I am not the only one who thinks that, I think we should just call it here.
At just 2 people as the cost of it. Because this was the first occurrence of it ever happening.
So my take on this is, if we get a new melee, we're really throwing away the opportunity cost of the synergy that we've already built with Lewds. You might not feel personally you have built synergy, but I know for a fact that me personally, I have completely like acclimated to the way he moves around and does stuff in a situation where we have a mechanic like Nissi or whatever, that it would never be a problem with Lewds. If it was, it'd be for like 2 pulls, because we very easily figured out each other's movement. I'm not sure that would be the case with a new person.
But for
obvious
you,
reasons.
where everybody is a number and you don't have any feelings, it doesn't matter to you. It matters to me who I raid with, and I want to like the people I'm raiding with. And I don't think his disposition and attitude is something that I'm going to get past, and I don't think I'm the only one.
I also personally just don't want to continue having this discussion. Like, if this is how he feels, I don't think that anything that Levy or I does is going to change his mind. And I don't want to keep dealing with the passive aggressiveness and the attitude because of his opinion on how we heal.
Okay, I understand that, right? I could completely cleave off the passive aggressiveness. Because, sure, it's petty and unneeded. But, in truth, I'm still dying in the raid. Right? Regardless of the nickname. After that, just going past that, you still... How do I just put this down? You have one of the most unorthodox healing styles that the general populace of Final Fantasy does not enjoy.
The general populace of Final Fantasy 14 is absolutely trash at the game.
Okay, that's a great argument point.
Let him finish.
That's a great argument point. I came from the general populace where the white mage was a main battery healer and the scholars supported with shields and they would DPS when they had no need to heal.
That's not how the game works.
I understand.
Anymore, though.
I completely understand that's not how the game works, apparently. But it is jarring to a person like me when I have to come into the raid and do the same job that my 4 other DPS compatriots have to do, but still constantly fear throughout the raid if I'm going to live or not. Because I don't have the same invested trust in my healers equally.
No amount of us talking at you is going to change that, so I don't see why we're still continuing this discussion.
Okay, but isn't that shown through your gameplay?
No, because you clearly don't understand my gameplay, and you're making all these assumptions about things that happened that didn't happen. And you keep going back to nitpicking over my gameplay. Well, we haven't even started to nitpick about yours.
I'm open to you nitpicking my gameplay.
I'd have to go pull up all the screenshots I have of the mentor room who had a lovely time going through your log.
Sure, I don't care what the mentor room had to talk about my log.
It doesn't matter, and that's my point, as I think that at this point, it makes sense for everybody's health to just part ways.
So, because I don't care about my personal DPS on the parse, but I will clear the fight perfectly fine and execute everything fine.
You clearly
and
won't.
I disagree with your method of healing where you prioritize DPS.
Wipes did we have because your DPS was trash?
Isn't that because somebody usually
I think
died?
this is unnecessary. No, it's not. We had a lot of enrages that were clean.
Oh my
But I also
god.
think that this is completely unnecessary and counterproductive. I think we're getting into trash talking and name calling, which I don't want. And if that's where we're going to go, I'm going to leave.
I most definitely did not bring up the room. I didn't bring up the logs.
Hold up. We can't have a conversation about someone's performance without you getting mad and wanting to.
That's not what she means. She
No,
means
that's
that...
exactly what was just
No,
said.
she
Exactly.
means that we need to have somewhere that this conversation is going, and bashing each other is not going there.
Exactly.
I brought up his logs because he was bringing up mine.
I didn't
I'm
even. What?
perfectly
You brought up your
fine.
performance. It's the same fucking thing.
I said if I fear my life during the raid and I don't trust my healers because I constantly have to fear that, then that's the
Nothing
stem of
has
my
to
issue.
change your feelings on that.
How is that a
That's a
personal issue when
personal issue.
when people are just dying inconsistently?
People die. It's a fucking raid. There's damage going out, and we make mistakes. It's gonna happen.
Wow. So then at the same point, I could be like, oh wow, sometimes something just doesn't crit, and that's why we didn't clear. But you're gonna jump to
Yes, and
blaming
that's
me.
why we haven't gone off on your logs. We have not talked to you about your low DPS, but you have no problem going to me and talking about all these healing issues that don't actually exist.
I don't particularly have to go to you because you just read Rams's DMs.
And this is why stuff's just stay in the main channel.
I just don't think we're having a productive conversation. I don't
agree.
think that Lewds is going to ever trust me or Levy.
Hold up.
Hold on. I didn't say I don't trust you, Sassy. I did
Listen,
give you commendations for how you heal and keep someone up during Living Liquids.
Which is
the
hilarious to
stream.
me because I do more healing than she does.
I'd also like to quickly point out that just because you're uncomfortable with the conversation doesn't mean it's unproductive.
But it is being unproductive.
No,
We're
it's
literally
not
talking
unproductive.
It's really
progress.
not. It's really not.
Yeah.
We're going in circles.
No. Airing grievances is a perfectly valid thing to do, and it should be.
Okay.
Right, but we've aired all our grievances. It's going in circles at this point.
He's still he's airing his like.
Okay.
Yeah.
And most of these points are ignored because I just don't understand or believe
They're not
the point.
ignored. We're responding to you, and you're ignoring our responses.
You said it was a me problem because I don't feel like the heals are consistent through raid.
And they are, except for normal human mistakes. So I don't know what to tell you there.
Whatever, man.
What were you gonna say?
Yes. As far as damage goes, you know, haha, ultimate parses are a meme, but she's specifically talking about your damage in perfect, and it is something that multiple very good melee players who, like, second we hit clean and rage, I'm like, cool, who's someone really good for each of our jobs? Pick apart our logs, see what we can improve. And every single person was like, he's like a solid 2k lower than he should be, not even accounting for crit variance.
Okay. I agree. I'm not fully optimized for Perfect Alex.
That's not
We've
fully
been there.
optimized.
Thank you for interrupting. We've been there maybe 30, 40 times total out of our thousands of wipes. Like, as a monk player, I'm still trying to figure out when I can get the free cheese on my positionals, because I am one of the only DPS that still gets a lot of damage variables off positionals. I'm trying to figure out when I can stick to the boss, when I can't stick to the boss on cast. And I'm trying to figure out how close or how far I need to be from people in order to do positionals and still get buffs. Right? Because the back of the boss is all the way north. And it would have pleased me so heavily if you had brought this conversation to me instead of having it like snicker in the back room and talk with other people without even approaching me with the logs or notes or any sort of like tips on what to do and how to improve. Because I have been looking at logs and noting what other monks players do, but like our group, I opt to do the things that are comfortable for me so that we can get the clear and continue on.
For what it's worth, there wasn't a canned discussion. It was, I am seen in the mentor room. People saw that we were having a clean and rage. They got a hold of the log and nitpicked it. I screenshotted
they got
it
a hold of it
and I sent it to Blake
randomly.
as, is any of this valid and worth passing on? And he told me not to pass it
Hilarious.
on because we didn't think it would be adding anything constructive to the discussion.
There was a point in Prague right around, I would say, Wormhole, where we were aware of your lack of the second wind, bloodbath usage, and your attitude started to go down. And we decided that we were at a point where even if we were going to keep you or not, we didn't want to kick you because it would take too long to clear the fight.
And I will say we had asked for something like planned mantras at X, Y, and Z point, or mitigate or movement done in this way, and you didn't execute on them, you didn't listen, you didn't follow through on it. And at that point, because of that, we didn't feel like bringing up the fact that you rarely use second wind was going to lead to anything constructive, because asking you to use mantra at these points didn't lead to anything constructive.
Who was the one asking for this?
For mantra?
I asked for mantra. I mentioned mantra at least 3 times in
You
a row.
mentioned mantra at the beginning of the fight.
No.
And where it was positioned.
No, we talked about mantra during Alex Prime, I think probably 30 times. Like, because I would say it out loud in voice, I would say it in chat, I would say, here's where we want it, we don't want it here because this does no healing.
Full disclosure, I love you. I've had you turn down quite a bit in Discord for my personal need to rate. Because there are a lot of mic feedbacks, there are conversations that are completely unproductive to raid. There's laughter and things that truly stop people from concentrating. And that might be the reason why I don't hear. I can respond to Ramza fine. I can respond to Sassy fine. I can respond to someone calling out their colors. But when it comes to comms, it's always polluted. Literally. Is that a problem for having someone turned down? Because...
Yes.
How?
Because you can't hear coordination or call-outs that are happening in the moment, or when the color didn't pass, and I don't know that I can trust you to say, hey, it didn't pass, come back.
Then if
or when
comms are clear, then
pull,
people are able to do it.
On our clear pull, when Kyle tried to coordinate with you to swap spots with him, and I said, look, I don't know if he can hear us, just move, Kyle. That's not okay.
So once again, that stems from the issue of comms being completely cluttered and not
if you
actually
want
constructive.
Completely clear,
to
this
the
isn't the group for you.
What?
We like to have fun too.
Yeah.
Talking about your day at work is fun?
For some people, they just like to come and
I feel like that's completely opinionated.
A lot of us in this group are friends, and I understand that
There's
not
4 of
everybody
you.
feels that way, but we like to have conversation. That's part of what makes raid fun for us. If you disagree, then this is not the group for you.
I understand how hard you're really trying to force me out on the smallest minute points, but
we're not comms
during an encounter really should not be cluttered, especially if the callouts are important.
I actually took a look at 5 of our polls yesterday just to make sure that I wasn't talking out of my ass when I say this. Our chatter disappears after Photon, because right around then is when we actually need to be able to talk to people. Before then, yes, we do have chatter, because a lot of that entire phase is just muscle memory with very little variance. And then after that, comms just quiet the fuck down because people are focused.
Ramsey, I've been in the raid with you guys for months on end. Even with one person toned down, the comms are still like massively cluttered with things that shouldn't be like talked about. Let's not try to act like I've just been like on deafened and muted and I completely ignored everything, because I haven't. It's just crazy to assume that when people are laughing and giggling about something and then they die because of it, right? Because they distract themselves. And I'm against this sort of thing because we are effectively wasting time on trying to get a re-clear. Then it's a problem for me, but nobody else. And
You
that's
can
where I
also
see it.
always just pull an aloe and go, let's stop and focus up.
Oh, and that's another
We have
perfect
no
point.
problem with people doing that.
That's another perfect point. Aloe does it where he will actually just directly get aggressive with it, and you guys are cool with that because he's within the in circle.
It's not about
I bet.
that.
No. If I did that, it would definitely be a microaggression of some sort, or it would have been one of the main points where you're like,
You
oh,
said,
you want to be
hey,
unfun.
let's focus. We'd all be surprised. One, that you opened your mic, but two, we'd be surprised that, like, oh, hey, he actually wants to take this serious. Let's be serious. We respond to that, but you don't know because you never tried.
At what
And that's the
point
thing,
would I
you
not
never
want to
bring
take
this
the
stuff
fight
up.
seriously? What?
When you sandbag, hello?
The one time yesterday.
Oh, that's the only time you've sandbagged. You've never pulled any
Find a
bullshit.
log.
Any bullshit
Find
ever.
a log.
Oh my god.
You have VODs, hours and hours of VODs. I'm sure you can find it since you always like to pick through VODs for things.
The fact that it happened once, that's it. Like, it should never happen even once. But again, people here like to talk and joke around a bit. Like, yes, it does become a thing that is a problem. Kiri has brought it up to me. Aloe has brought it up to me. We're very aware.
And nothing corrective has been done about it. Like, at all. So that's like the big point. When anyone brings up a grievance or problem, it just pretty much gets swept.
No, it doesn't.
Oh, so what's the improvement that we've had?
Here's the thing. Like, after Living Liquid, we get to Photon. Besides, like, actually complete downtime where we're not doing anything, comms are clear. Like, I don't know what you're really wanting. Do you just want people to be completely silent and not saying anything except only raid callouts? Because that's just not going to happen.
I really wouldn't have a problem with the chatter if it did not affect performance for people. That's my point. That's literally it. If you are able to perform at the same degree as you are quiet while talking, then that's fine. But it's not. It just factually isn't. Like, shit, man. Shut the fuck up and do the raid. That's it. Is there a point that doesn't make sense, or is this another like thing that is supposed to be like a bad thing?
Trying to think of a way to word this correctly.
They're typing to each other.
There are several people here that are going to talk during polls. It is just going to happen because raid is, yes, something that you do because it's challenging and it's very serious, but also for most of us, it's the only free time / fun things we do at the end of the day. And talking is going to happen. Sometimes that will wipe us. That's going to happen.
Oh my god.
It's unfortunate. We're aware of it. We're going to, because we're aware of it, we're going to actively try and cut down on it while we're progging.
Doubt.
But people are going to joke around. It's going to
Doubt.
happen. And if that's not something that you care to do, then
Oh my fucking
that
god,
would have
Ramsey.
either been something that you have to be like Aloe and just be like, hey, stop once it gets too bad, because whenever he does it, we check the fuck up.
No, we don't.
But otherwise, we're just left to guess whatever the fuck you're thinking.
So basically, I mean, I'm in the same boat as Lewds when he has Levy turned down or whatever. I don't have her turned down, but like, you guys have seen me and heard me literally leave Discord during phase 1 and reconnect during phase 2. That's fine, like whatever. But I think if we're gonna go and like point fingers at stuff, I don't think it's fair because Lewd sandbagged once on a rekill, so on a fight that we've already killed, is good enough to dismiss him. And I think that it's worth giving him a second chance because I don't think throwing out this energy that we have as a group out the window is worth doing this close to 5.2. Also, given the fact that we would have to completely repog T again if we got rid of Lewds. I just think it really is not as good of a solution as you guys think it is.
Nobody's saying it's a good solution, but I'm gonna
It's a
disagree with
solution
you.
she needs.
At this point, like Ramza said, this is what I do in my free time, and I want it to be an enjoyable experience. And I think we're at that point where with this group composition, it will not be an enjoyable experience, and that's an issue.
So like, what if we don't reclear T again?
We kind of, I think we're at the point where we've kind of accepted the fact that that might be a reality, especially with how
serious right now?
yesterday went. Yeah.
Like,
You don't think we can clear Sunday if everyone just shuts the fuck up and plays?
Oh no, I absolutely think we can. I just didn't know if everybody was going to show up.
yeah.
Show
like-
up. What? People are
Because-
gonna be here Sunday.
Right, but if we kicked Lewds and he said, "Well, fuck you guys, I'm not going to show up Sunday," what were we going to do?
Lewds, are you gonna show up Sunday?
If I get kicked from the group? What's...
I mean, that's literally the conversation that we're having right now. Like, we're...
If I got fired from a job, would I show up to the job?
Right, you wouldn't. So that's why we're operating on an assumption that you wouldn't.
What the fuck?
For
But that
Sunday,
you might, but that you might want one more totem. So if you wanted one more totem, we would do it. But if you didn't, we weren't going to be angry about it.
Right, but some of us don't want just one more totem. I want, like, the rest of the fucking 13.
We still have to... We also still have
I'm
to
so
trial people
confused.
for Kyle's replacement.
He's showing up Sunday, correct?
Yes.
But I think that's his last one.
I think. I'm so against like removing people and just like having to fucking reprog.
We understand that.
And I'll say the agreements that I gave to Ramza, that because it's like kind of in the middle. Like, yes, talking is fine. However, at a point, people need to know when to shut up. Like, if you fucked up 3 pulls in a row, don't talk the 4th. Like, that's basically my point of it. It's like I don't mind people talking, even in like phase 1 and 2. Just
I must be in
if you fucked
fucking
up 3
clown
times in a
world,
row,
bro.
like, just focus. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you can have the conversation 5 minutes down the road.
Exactly.
So basically, what I'm trying to say is, I don't think it's worth throwing the group away like we're.
I don't
about to
think
do.
we're
And you
throwing the group away.
Yes,
and
you
I
are.
think we're gonna. So I don't mean to talk over you. My point is that we're not gonna see eye to eye on this, which means the next logical step is to put it to a vote.
Where she
Right, and that's the
has
step
the
you wanted to
stack
skip.
No,
Because I
we
wasn't
did.
included in the vote.
We did put it to a vote. The problem was we were also put it to vote on you, and you were decided first because of your outburst, and then we kind of changed on that. But that's
why?
why
Why
you
was
weren't
it-
included. Because after your racist comment, nobody wanted to raid with you.
I definitely
Okay,
didn't
but
get
no,
a chance at the vote.
No,
so.
but why did it change from suddenly Vire gets to stay but lose?
because we decided to change our mind. Like there had been enough evidence since the incident until now, and your grievances were considerably smaller and isolated.
And like you have, said to us, the like, after you were a little bit sassy, you're fine after that, and it hasn't been a problem since.
But like there were only like those 2 incidents instead of a repeated issue throughout the entirety since Savage.
But my issue was confronted, and nobody publicly confronted Lewds.
We tried to confront him on.
No. There's no
How?
try. Did you do it?
Yes, we
Where?
tried. We tried to get him to coordinate heals with us, right? We wanted to mantra it in this spot, this spot, this spot. He wouldn't do it. We asked him to do things this way, and when I asked him to make sure for the second Nisi pass in Brute Justice and Prince Chaser, he threw up a fit about the fact that it was on him to make sure it passed to me, and that I wasn't just going through him to make sure it passed. There were incidents like that throughout all of Raid.
I'm living in clown world.
Like, we would bring up something, and we would either get a passive-aggressive remark, or he would throw a fit, or he wouldn't say anything at all, and there was no engagement.
I will say that that was a big thing for me. I quit trying to address it because I felt like all I got in return was passive-aggressive comment. And there comes a point where it's just easier to not deal with it.
Women. That's literally a woman. That's just it.
I'm just gonna say from a factual point of view, from like my opinion, I guess not factual. My opinion is that we stand to lose a lot more than we could potentially gain if we like cut
Rep 3
more
people?
members than just Kyle. And we're not cutting Kyle; he's leaving.
He's leaving.
But I think we stand to lose like a significant amount. And
But see, what you're quantifying the value that you're losing is what's most important to you, but that's not what's most important
To
to
me.
myself or some of the rest of us, which is literally what we were just talking about you about our mentality differences.
I also think that
You don't think,
the
Sassy.
biggest thing that I think that this conversation has proven to me is that Lewds is not going to change his opinion on the general healing style of the team. And I don't want to have this conversation again in 3 months.
okay,
Let her finish.
okay, yeah, sorry.
I don't want to have this conversation again in a month when we're doing optimization runs and it's why did I die?
What? I can't question if I die?
That's not what I meant at all.
So I say
I mean,
why I
to be
die
fair,
from what?
that wasn't phrased like greatly, but like she doesn't want it to be a thing where you die while we're trying to map out optimizations, and you're just like, I can't believe you guys didn't heal me there, and we're just like, did he die because of a lack of healing, or did we miss something?
Well, not only that, but with optimization heal planning, like, we're trying to figure out what is the, way we can play these things to do the least healing while keeping everybody alive. While we're figuring that out, there are probably going to be runs while you die when we figure out, okay, that's too low. Like, that's gonna happen. We're gonna try and plan ahead of time so it doesn't, but sometimes, like, because of how variances, because of how, mechanic snapshots, we won't know until we get in there. And that's gonna happen.
Wait, hold on. Do you guys think that I sit there and you guys say, we're going to try out a new healing route, and I get, like, physically angry, like, seething right there at that point?
No, it's when you die to what you think is a lack of heals that you start getting passive aggressive. We've seen it.
So I died to something that isn't a mechanical problem on my end, but I died to overdamage, and I can't say it's my healers.
Like, there was one specific thing. You actually typed up a big thing to me about this, where you had died after the upheaval in 4S when we were doing optimization, and it was because a Cure 3 had gone out and you were nowhere near it, and you typed up, like, I think 2 paragraphs to me about how this shouldn't be happening, and then I just clipped it for you. I'm like, and you didn't say anything after the fact, but at the same time, like, you got pretty heated about something that was your fault.
To clarify, you didn't clip it. Levy clipped it, which means she was the one that was directly in the conversation when I was in DMs.
Actually,
with
no,
you.
she clipped it after you died to make sure that she knew that to figure out if it was her or if it was you.
Because when somebody dies to a lack of heals, the logical thing to do is to go and ask the healer instead of blaming them, to ask, hey, what happened there? And then I went and looked and was like, look, he was in Narnia, nowhere near the Cure 3. Because, you know, he trusts the healers.
Okay. Rams, did you reread through my message again at any point?
I haven't for a while.
I would like for you to try and reread it. You could reread it out loud if you want. And see how this same message is translated to the message today.
That right there. What just happened is the shit that tilts me the most out of anything when it comes to this team and when it comes to consistency and healing. It's not even the fact that the run was going well for me, it's the fact that our healers want to claim that all 30 plus runs are for optimizing for minimum heals and max damage when nothing is consistent. They aren't in the mindset of healing first, DPSing once they confirm people are topped.
True.
I get the entire idea of healers are strong and do good DPS when they don't have to heal, but I'm also of the mindset of no healer is going to out DPS an actual DPS unless they let them die. IDK, it's getting really aggravating to the point where I'm staring at cast bars after massive AoEs because I have no confidence when my healers are looking at HP. We can say that Titan Phase 1 is cancer all we want, but I see way worse teams one-shot with no issue every week, and we struggle just to get to Phase 3 for the sake of optimizing. I just had to put my feelings out, because honestly, I like rating and good around, but this is just another level of head bashing with how little we progress in a fight that we cleared week 1. This isn't even me leaving, but fuck, man. Something has to change. Doubt anyone's happy sitting there for 30 pulls and nothing gained. So, going to point out one thing here. Optimization is literally that. Optimization is literally as minimal healing as possible.
I know.
And it's not. It's, okay, we have mapped this. We do this. It should work. And then if it doesn't, we check it. We check why. Did this work because people executed badly? Did this person die because they missed mitigation? That is what optimization is. Trying to cut as much as you can in order to kill things as fast as you can. Like, it was frustrating because, well, for one, I know we tried out a lot of different healing strats for each of the different fights. And also, Sassy, you were not in a great mindset for that entire time, and that did bog down a lot of people. So, like, we keep bringing it up, but it was a thing.
Yes, and I have acknowledged my super shitty behavior, and I have given multiple people room to acknowledge to please just call me out if I start acting that way again. It's also worth noting, I didn't particularly enjoy optimization.
What, you said
it was a first for me,
pineapple,
and that, along with a lot of other things, led to a
pepper.
really shitty attitude. I'm not making excuses. I'm trying to do better moving forward. But on that note, when Rams is addressing optimization, if you watch speed kills and optimization runs and stuff like that, almost never is the party at full health. Because like what Ramza said, that's what optimization is. It's literally how little healing can I get away with.
And if you look at like I know our 3S has a lot more healing in it than we had for like our fastest run.
I'm seriously
by a
sitting here.
significant margin. Because both of them just safety heal for weeklies, because fuck it. Get gear, move on.
I seriously just don't get it, man. They
really
see a problem and
again,
just
if there's gonna be a way for you to get past the thinking that it's from greed during prog or weeklies when it's mistakes and fuck ups. There's not really a way to prove it or to get you past
There's not a way to prove it?
Initial reaction to why you died if you die, because it happens. Sometimes shit happens. Like, as unfortunate as it is, sometimes just heal propagation kills people. It's really fucking annoying.
That's a whole other topic I'm not going to get into, but what's the closure on this? I know we came here just to talk about me, but I wanted to give everyone a chance to talk to Lewds and Lewds to talk to everyone. So are we going to hold a vote in public chat, or is it just automatically forgone that he's gone?
You stack the votes.
If you want.
She's already stacked the votes, so it doesn't matter. Sucking one dude's dick for a vote.
I also don't really want to break synergy as much as we can, and like I understand there's issues that we have to get past. However, it's just a tough situation both ways. Yes, it's been good for people who have been able to speak, but then also people who have been also just yelling.
Like,
Sass,
for us to get past this would take a concentrated effort of like. At this point, I'm like, sit down and walk Lewds through healing.
Oh my!
For some things, just to like, I guess, teach him.
Hey man, hey, Gramsla, I'm not stupid by any stretch of the imagination. I fully understand what they're trying to do. I've read the HPS mini blurb multiple times. I've sent it to different people. I've let everyone else read it. I've seen people come back with the same response.
Do you know who wrote it?
No, I don't care who wrote it.
I wrote it! Because I understand how it works.
Who wrote it is irrelevant.
Yeah,
my
who
point
wrote
is
it
that
was
he doesn't-
irrelevant.
My point is that you believe it because you believe the words there, but then you don't trust me when I'm saying the exact same things to you.
All right, we're gonna very quickly go back to yelling again.
Yeah.
You're right.
We had just moved past it.
No, you're right. I'm sorry. I've been trying to stay quiet because I realized.
I know that your emotions are high, and I don't blame you for doing what you just did, but continue.
Yeah. So I'm not like some guy who doesn't understand what is occurring in the group. I'm just a guy who wants a solution to things so that we have more consistency. That's it. I like business. I like the ends. I really don't care about what happens in the middle. We identify a problem. We do something about it. The change happens over time or in real time, and we have a new result. But when we say there is a problem, and then we bossing say it and there is no problem, then we get nowhere. That's just my problem.
There's 2 points there.
Oh my!
When things are addressed, we've gone through them and we've worked on them. But 2,
wrong.
You kept your mouth shut to most of these grievances, except for the one time that you brought them up, and we told you the same thing we're telling you now, that your understanding of what happened was wrong.
Okay, before we go further again, we're deviating from what I just said. Can we have a vote, like officially, whether Lewds is staying, and like just call it here, because that's the last point of what I wanted to do here. I realize that like a lot of extra stuff has come from it, but the main point was to address me and my concerns with. And unfortunately, one of my concerns is having the group lose members. So.
Well, we're at the point where I'd be worried about the tension building, making us fall apart regardless.
Right.
I don't.
But I am of the opinion that people can fix the situation and be better on both sides. We've all been fucking shitty in some way or another, whether we want to admit it or not. That's not a targeted attack on anyone. That is much more valid to me than anybody else. And
why the fuck do I have to apologize? What?
I have a huge I just don't want to like fucking go through the process of acclimation again. I was just so comfy in a group for the first time ever.
Why the fuck am
I can
I?
understand that, but that's where I'm at right now.
Only her. She's the only one.
I think Vire's right. I think we're at a point where vote.
I mean, that was my vote.
I know.
What a cunt.
Do we do this reactions or okay?
Yeah, drop your note, bitch. I want to see it in real time.
So we're missing Aloe. So it's a yay or nay how? Nay kick or nay don't kick?
Nay is kick.
It's incredible what a stacked deck looks like.
Okay, even with Aloe, that means that the vote is in favor of no. And Kyle isn't part of the group anymore.
Wow, it's almost like there's a stacked deck. That's wild.
We're never going to convince you that that's not true, but for point of order, Blake and I broke up back in October, so you can drop the whole relationship inner circle bullshit.
Sure. Still visit each other. Broke up? Question mark. Yeah.
Is there anything else that needs to be addressed, or are we done?
Everyone's showing up Sunday.
Yes.
Everyone's
Yeah.
putting their fucking heart and soul into this last clear so we can get a goddamn.
Yes.
Mhm.
There it is, boys.
Okay, well,
The
instead
yay,
of
nay.
sitting awkwardly here in silence, if nobody else has anything that they would like to say, I'm gonna go back to watching Sabrina.
Yeah, I'm also going to dip. Good night, guys.
No.
I'm not showing up. Well, boys, looks like it's how it boiled down. The UN voted against. Oh, I got my roll removed too. So, you know, that's how that works, because she's extra tight right now.
Yeah. Oh well.
Bet you she'll kick me next.
I try to be as impartial as I could if it wasn't obvious.
Okay, I understand that.
And that is why my vote sits in both camps.
That and that you had to put up both reactions.
I mean, I could have removed it from both, but it wouldn't have made a difference.
Does my vote count?
Mm.
I don't think you can vote for yourself, man. That's how Trump got where he is, dude.
That's wild. Well, I will say it was a great experience regardless with you guys.
I love you, man.
Hey man, same here. You're my gay Canadian lover, man. And Carrie's like a really close second because you both live in Canada now.
Yeah, I'm a filthy immigrant.
And
Filthy immigrant, dude. Get out. Get out.
who else
But
got
Trudeau told me to come. He says he loves her.
Yeah,
Sure.
he loves everybody. That's the problem.
who got the news that they were broken up back in October?
I try not to pay attention to fucking Days of Our Lives Final Fantasy Edition.
They left no indication that they were or anything close to like. Wait, if they weren't, then why was he still posting why was she still reading DMs from him, huh? I'm so confused by what a broken up relationship is, actually.
Not what you think it is. Not what I think it is either, I guess.
Definitely.
You ever break up with an ex and then immediately never speak to them again the next? That's what usually happened to me.
Yeah,
In
that's
fact,
what
that's happened
usually
in
happens.
100% of situations.
I guess he's a sub to her Twitch now? Maybe? I mean, that's the level of affection they're at. What a interesting Saturday.
I hope I don't get some shitter melee fucking.
Hey man, I hope the best for you guys too. Because
I already said if it's with all the melees we try our shit, then I don't want a second melee.
We
I'll
need a
just be
caster
out.
too. Hey, Kiri, it's just me and you on the front line, dude. Actually, you're on the front line. I'm standing right behind you. I promise.
I guess I'll be bitch forever.
No, we'll make the trial be. I'll be a bitch. Man. Why did shit shake out this way? Anybody watching my stream, we're recruiting a caster. DM. By the way, I streamed this whole fucking thing.
Same here, actually. My boys were like, yeah, we want to see how this boils down, because I've been keeping them in the loop with our raid drama, quote unquote.
I've been getting like fucking tons of DMs and whispers in game all meeting.
Fucking meeting, we're sitting at a round table, we're just like looking at each other. Oh yeah, I don't like that.
My stream is literally called right now a meeting.
I think that's insane that she feels unsafe with me being in the raid. Like, I think they had a lot of points blown out of proportion, and
I'm mentally incapable of understanding how people can't just fucking move on and play.
Yeah.
But that's just me. My brain is wired to just fucking forget and go.
No, I'm there too. I have human emotions. I guess it just affected her so much that she couldn't like withstand the pain of it. She's probably shaking right now, actually.
Thanks for being present for the whole thing, Kiri. Even though you didn't like jump in a whole lot, it was still cool that you hung around beyond what you felt was obvious.
We don't feel comfortable with you being because you sandbagged once, right?
Yeah.
But they knowingly talk and know that they might wipe, but they still do it anyways and waste your fucking time.
I know. I said every time they've wiped, I'm like, so
Needs to speak more and not be a shitter that throws my PB in the bin. But I'm indifferent to everyone.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Kiri. I know it was a PB, but it's gonna be a relatively low PB because let's be honest.
It's gonna be like a fucking 55, and that's amazing of our brute justice cruise chasing.
Our phase 2 strat, yeah,
is garbage.
I've conceded forever to the fact, like even having it reviewed by peers, we've looked it over, and everyone is just like, yeah, phase 1, phase 3, and perfect look great, dude. You're doing fine. But wow, your phase 2 fucking sucked. And I'm just like, there's nothing I can do about it. They're like, yeah, man. At best, you're gonna get a fucking blue, and if you get a blue, you can call it a day.
Yeah, that run, but it was gonna be PB was only because I hit 71k.